The difference between those who dream of success and those who live it is not talent, not luck, not even opportunity. It is habit. The small, repeated actions done when no one is watching. The patterns you weave into the fabric of your days. The choices you make in silence that scream their consequences in the open. Success is not an accident. It is a habit. And failure is not a mystery. It too is a habit. Look around you. The lives people live are simply the results of the rituals they follow. The man who wakes up at dawn to prepare his mind commands the hours before the world has even stirred. The woman who disciplines her thoughts, who trains her focus like a sharpened blade, cuts through distractions and creates empires while others are still waiting for permission. Success is not built in dramatic moments. It is carved piece by piece in the habits you dare to keep. Consider Thomas Edison, who failed thousands of times before the light bulb illuminated the world. Did he wake up with flashes of genius every day? No, he woke up with a habit. The habit of persistence. The habit of trying again. He showed up in the laboratory day after day, driven not by the thrill of instant victory, by the rhythm of consistency. That was his advantage. And think of Andrew Carnegie, who came to America with nothing. No wealth, no connections, no certainty of tomorrow. But he built habits that stacked bricks of discipline, one upon another, until they formed the empire of steel. While others drifted, he acted. While others indulged, he sacrificed. The habits he built turned him from immigrant to industrial giant, from obscurity to one of the wealthiest men who ever lived. You see, success does not start when you sign the contract, or when the bank account grows, or when applause rains down. It starts in the darkness of morning when you rise instead of roll over. It starts when you choose reading over scrolling, focus over distraction, exercise over excuses, progress over comfort. It starts with the habits no one else sees, but everyone eventually feels. But here is the truth most avoid. Habits are forged in struggle. You will not build strength from comfort. You will not build clarity from chaos unless you carve it with discipline. Habits ask you to endure boredom, to embrace repetition, to sacrifice pleasure for purpose. And that is why so few taste greatness. They want the results without the rituals, the trophies without the training, the destination without the discipline. But those who rise, those who dominate, those who write their names into history, they obey the law of habit. They understand that the mind is clay and repetition is the sculptor. If you think like a champion long enough, act like a champion long enough, discipline yourself like a champion long enough, you will become one. As Napoleon Hill wrote, we are what we think about, and we become what we repeatedly do. So if your days are built on distraction, you will live a distracted life. If your days are built on excuses, you will die with regrets. But if your days are built on purpose, on vision, on courage, and on habits that honor the future you want, you will not just find success, you will attract it. You will embody it. You will radiate it. The question, then, is simple. What other habits are you feeding? Every morning, every hour, every choice, you are either feeding the habit of success or the habit of failure. And life is mercilessly fair. It will give you the harvest of what you plant. The mind is a battlefield, and your habits are the weapons you carry into it. If you sharpen them, it will cut through doubt, fear, and procrastination. If you neglect them, it will dull, and every challenge will defeat you before it even begins. Every habit is either building your strength or building your weakness. There is no neutral ground. Think of Henry Ford, a man ridiculed for believing that automobiles could replace horses. People laughed at him, mocked his ideas, told him it was impossible. But Ford had a habit of questioning the limits others accepted. He asked relentlessly, why not? While others said it can't be done. Mindset, repeated day after day, gave birth to an industry that transformed the world. His genius was not just vision, it was the daily discipline of refining his ideas, adjusting, improving, until innovation became inevitable. Walt Disney, too, built his empire not on sudden strokes of brilliance, but on habits of persistence. He was fired from his first job for lacking imagination. He went bankrupt multiple times. He faced rejection after rejection. But every day, he returned to the drawing board. He carried the habit of dreaming bigger, the habit of believing in magic even when the world tried to convince him it did not exist. And through those habits, he gifted the world an empire of wonder. Ask yourself, what empire are you building with your daily actions? Are you laying bricks of discipline or stacking blocks of distraction? Every decision compounds. Every morning you win or lose the battle of your habits. You set the tone for your future. Do not underestimate the power of a small choice made consistently. A single glass of water each morning leads to health. A single page read each day leads to wisdom. A single dollar saved each day leads to wealth. Habits are not small. They are the seeds of destiny. But here is the danger. Bad habits grow faster than good ones if left unchecked. The habit of delay becomes the prison of regret. The habit of complaining becomes the death of possibility. The habit of seeking comfort becomes the graveyard of dreams. And the world will not wait while you indulge them. Life moves forward whether you prepare or not. That is why you must be ruthless in shaping your habits. Ruthless in guarding your time. Ruthless in cutting out what weakens you. Because every wasted habit robs you of your future. Discipline is the gatekeeper of your destiny. If you do not discipline yourself, the world will discipline you with failure. And remember, habits are not just actions, they are identities. A man who runs every morning does not just exercise, he becomes a runner. A woman who writes daily does not just fill pages, she becomes a writer. Habits do not just shape what you do, they shape who you are. And when you shift who you are, you shift what becomes possible. This is why greatness feels magnetic. Why we look at the lives of the successful and say, how did they do it? It is not mystery, it is momentum. They stacked habits until momentum carried them past the limits most people cannot break. And momentum, once built, is nearly unstoppable. The same law that works against you when you spiral downward works for you when you rise upward. A single good habit, repeated, becomes two, then four, then a lifestyle. Success is not a single act, it is a chain reaction of disciplined habits igniting one another until they become destiny. But let me tell you the truth. Building these habits will hurt. They will demand sacrifice. They will strip away comfort. You will lose friends who cannot understand your discipline. You will feel the sting of being misunderstood, of being mocked, of walking a path fewer dare to walk. But you must choose whether you will suffer the pain of discipline now or the pain of regret later. One is temporary. The other is permanent. So decide. Decide that your mornings are sacred. Decide that your thoughts are not for rent to doubt. Decide that your time is too valuable to waste on what does not build you. Decide that your life is not a lottery ticket, but a masterpiece in progress. And let every habit you keep be a brushstroke painting the future you deserve. Because in the end, success is not a mystery. It is not luck. It is not magic. It is the sum of your habits. Success starts and ends with them. Greatness begins the moment you realize that habits are not just routines, they are laws. The universe itself bends to the law of repetition. Day follows night. The tide follows the pull of the moon. The seasons return year after year. Nature herself thrives on patterns, on habits. And if nature's power is written in repetition, how can your destiny be any different? You become what you repeat. You rise or you rot on what you practice daily. Thomas Edison understood this. He did not stumble into the light bulb by luck. He built the habit of persistence. 10,000 attempts, and still he did not quit. 10,000 failures, and still he framed them as steps toward victory. When asked if he felt defeated, he replied, I have not failed. I have simply found 10,000 ways that do not work. That was not just genius speaking, it was the voice of a man who mastered his habits of thought, who trained his mind to see lessons instead of losses. And because of that habit, we live in the glow of his vision. Abraham Lincoln, too, was carved by the chisel of discipline before he became one of the most revered leaders in history. He faced crushing defeats, political losses, business collapse, the death of loved ones. Yet Lincoln developed the habit of resilience. He refused to let defeat define him. He turned wounds into wisdom, rejection into resolve, and heartbreak into humility. Through that, he rose not just as a president, but as a symbol of endurance, of what a human soul can become when habits of perseverance outweigh habits of despair. You see, success is not built in moments of inspiration. It is built in the trenches of repetition. It is forged in the unseen hours, the mornings when no one is watching, the nights when no one claps, the years when no one believes. It is there in the silence of discipline that your future is born. So if you want to transform your life, do not start with dreams too big to grasp. Start with habits small enough to hold in your hand, but strong enough to change your soul. Wake up when you said you would. Read when you would rather scroll. Train your body when comfort whispers to stay in bed. Write down your goals when distraction tells you to forget. These are not small acts, they are battles won. And each victory becomes a brick in the fortress of your destiny. But do not confuse habits with rituals of convenience. Habits that build empires demand sacrifice. They require you to say no to pleasures others indulge in, to rise while the world sleeps, to push when the crowd retreats. Andrew Carnegie, who rose from poverty to become one of the wealthiest men in history, lived by the habit of relentless focus. He eliminated distractions, honed his attention, and poured his energy into building industries that shaped nations. His fortune was not born in luck, but in habits of vision and discipline so strong they bent the world around him. And this is your task, to bend your world through the power of your daily choices. To stand guard at the gates of your mind and your time, letting in only what builds you, rejecting what steals from you. To recognize that every thought repeated becomes belief. Every belief acted on becomes habit, and every habit shapes destiny. The chain is unbreakable. The question is, will it bind you or set you free? Imagine this. 10 years from now, you are standing on a stage or walking through the home you once only dreamed of, or leading the life that once seemed out of reach. How did you get there? Not in leaps, but in steps. Not in miracles, but in habits. That future self is built in the minutes you hold right now. Every day is a vote cast for who you are becoming. Your habits are the ballot, and time is the election. Who will you choose to be? Let me warn you, habits are jealous. They compete for dominance. You cannot serve to masters if you choose laziness. Discipline starves if you choose procrastination. Opportunity dies. If you choose doubt, belief fades. But if you choose faith, fear loses its grip. If you choose action, excuses dissolve. If you choose consistency, mediocrity falls away. Life will always reward the master of strong habits and punish the slave of weak ones. And when the storms command, habits will be your anchor. When doubt screams, your habits will whisper discipline. When fear rises, your habits will remind you of resilience. When rejection strikes, your habits will push you forward, unshaken, unstoppable. Success does not belong to the lucky. It belongs to the consistent, to the disciplined, to those who build themselves one choice, one habit, one day at a time. So let today be the day you decide. No more drifting. No more waiting for motivation to save you. No more letting weak habits steal your future. Begin now with what you have, where you are. Build the habits that build the life. Guard them, nurture them, master them. Because in the end, it will not be your wishes, your dreams, or your intentions that determine your destiny. It will be your habits.